Good morning and welcome back. I am Penny from So Charming Quilt Shop in Clanton, Alabama, and today I am working on a new project. The sun has not come up. My goal today is before the sun comes up to go ahead and have a project done. So we're going to get started. Remember about, I don't know, time seems to fly by these days, maybe a year or so ago, maybe even two, we started working on door hangers for the shop. Because a lot of people see a door hanger on our door and they know we're open. With that being said, we need to make some more door hangers. I made a pumpkin door hanger for last year around this time. I think it was last year, it might have even been the year before, but I want another one. I'm ready for a new one. So that's what we're going to make today. I am going to make a pumpkin door hanger and I'm going to make it out of scraps. So what I've done is I've gone through my stash and I've gotten some scraps of orange. Doesn't matter what size you have because we're not going to need big scraps of them. I happen to have some big scraps and some little scraps. So that's what I'm going to use today. And then I am going to pick up some green scraps of any color, of any shade, and then some brown scraps, and then white for our backing. So let me bring you down to the table and show you what we're going to do. What we're going to start with is some background fabrics. So I've cut this into an 8.5 by 1.5 inch strip, a 6.5 by 1.5 inch strip, and I've got two of each of these. So two 1.5 by 8.5, two 1.5 by 6.5, one 1.5 by 3, and then six 1.5 inch squares. Then I've got my oranges. I've got six 1.5 by, I want to make sure I told you right, 1.5 by 5.5. Six of these of just miscellaneous scraps. And then one 1.5 inch brown for the stem, square, and one green 1.5 by 3 for the leaf. I'll put all this in the description below so you don't forget that. And that's our scraps, these right here. This is all we need for this pumpkin. And remember, this is the size I'm doing. You can do it whatever. If you want a bigger pumpkin, double these sizes. Do whatever you need to do. Make it bigger, make it smaller, whatever. This is your pumpkin. And if you don't want an orange pumpkin, don't make it orange. Make it pink if you want to. Doesn't matter. It's your pumpkin. So we're going to get started. We're going to put all these aside and bring our oranges back. And we're going to start sewing these together. So let's go over to the sewing machine. First thing we're going to do is take two of these strips and sew them right sides together down the long side. We're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance on everything. And to speed it up, I'm just going to sew two more together and then two more together so that I have them in sets of twos. You can do them in whatever order you want to do them, obviously, it's your pumpkin. But I'm just grabbing them and going. Make sure they're lined up good. Then when I'm done with that, I will cut them apart. And then I'll grab the first two and the second two and sew them together the same way. Now I've only got one more set to sew on, and then I'll have all 6 strips sewn together. So if I can get this open, I will sew these two to the other 4. Now we need to go over to the iron and iron them open. So that you could see it better, I brought the iron over to us. Now this, you can either open these seams like this and press them, or you can press them to one side. It's a personal preference thing on this. Usually I do to one side on projects like this, but today I'm feeling the opening seams way. So that's what I'm going to do. If they cooperate, that is. So I open it with my fingers and then press it open. One more to go. And now our pumpkin center is ready. Then grab your corner pieces, your little 1.5 inch squares. Now you can do whatever color background you want, but mine is white. I'm going to take this and put it in the corner. And if you need to, draw a line across that corner and sew on that line. I've done this enough that I don't need to draw that line, but if that's more comfortable for you, then draw that line. So let's go back to the sewing machine. So we're going to sew on that line straight across that little square. And we're going to do this in every corner. So we'll go to the next corner. Sew diagonally from corner to corner across that square. This is my third corner. And my last corner. Once you've got all 4 sewn on, you're going to take either your scissors or your rotary cutter and just clip off about 1/4 inch or so off of that line. Obviously don't cut the line that you just sewed, but now you've got it looking like this. Then we're going to go back to the iron and we're going to open those up. Press those white squares back to open it up, to turn this back into a rectangle. And now it looks like this. You see the forming of our pumpkin now. Then we'll move our ironing station over and we're going to make our leaf section. Hold the pumpkin to the side. You've got these 3 pieces now. You've got 2 1.5 inch squares left. You've got your 1.5 inch square brown and your 1.5 by 3 green. So I'm going to take my green, lay it sideways, take my white square and line it up on one side. And then I'm going to stitch diagonally into the center of that green rectangle. Now that leaves me looking like this. And this section over here, I want it gone, so I'm going to cut it off just like I did the pumpkin corners. Then I'll iron that piece open. And it looks like this. Okay. Then I'll take this piece and I'm going to do the same thing, only we've been going this way and turning it back. This time I want it going the same way this one did. So I'm going to sew from here to here. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to cut this piece off. And then throw away that piece. Iron this open. And your leaf section will be done. There's my leaf section. So I'm going to take my leaf and I want it I want mine going this way. You can do it however you want on whatever side of the pumpkin top you want. But this is how I want mine. I'm going to sew my brown square to here. So I'm going to flip them right sides together. And I'm going to stitch down this line right here. You can make them go in different directions or different sides of the pumpkin, whatever. But I want all of mine uniform. So I'm going to do mine the same way. I'm going to open that up. Now it looks like that. There's the leaf and the stem. I'll take the other piece that was 1.5 by 3 and I'll stitch it right sides together on the other side of the stem. And now I iron that open. And there's the top of my pumpkin. Bring back my pumpkin, lay that on top, put it right sides together on top of each other and just sew it down. Make sure you keep it lined up. Again, I'm still doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to iron it open. You can set the seam first, like that, and then it tends to lay down a little bit better, or at least that's what I've found. And now, there's our pumpkin. It needs a border, so what we'll do is take these two pieces, the 6.5 and the 8.5 inch strips. We'll start with the 6.5. Take one strip and sew it to this side, and then we'll sew the other strip to the other side. And we're sewing on the sides of the pumpkin now. We'll iron it open. We'll do the same thing to the other side. Line that up and stitch 1/4 inch. Iron it open. And now, once I can get this string out of here, we've got a good looking pumpkin with sides. Now we need to do the top and bottom the same way. So we'll take one strip and sew it to the top, line it up along the top of the pumpkin, and then stitch. This is a great stash buster. Since you don't need big strips for this, if you have a lot of oranges, you're good to go. And like I said, if you want to do yours a different color, do it a different color. It'd still be cute. Line this one up along the bottom, and we're going to do the same thing. And my bottom somehow got a little bit wonky as far as sizing, but I'm not worried about that. I don't care, because I'm going to fix it. You got to square it up anyway, so that's going to work. So I am ironing this open now, and there's my square. You see how I said it kind of got wonky? I'm not really sure what I did there. Either way, I don't care because I got to square it up. So there's my pumpkin. Then I'm going to go get my ruler and we're going to square it up. Okay, this is how I square it up. Now, a lot of people, first off, a lot of people would be upset about that and worried about it. there's two trains of thoughts here. Mine is, I don't care. I'm going to square it up anyway. It's going to work. No one's even going to know that ever looked like that. So I'm going to fix that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler. This is my square up ruler. There's smaller ones. There's other sizes. I've got another size. I just think it's at the shop right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up with whatever size I want my pumpkin. It should be about 8.5, but I've already made a couple other ones and mine have been cut down to 8.25. So I'm making this one 8.25. And I'm going to take one side and cut it off. Then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to line, and all I did was straighten that side. So I'm going to line this up with the 8.25. There's the 8.25 line. Does it look like it's even? Not quite, so I'm going to move it over a little. I'm going to straighten up this side. See what I mean? It's gone, no more trouble. Don't stress over the little stuff, you can fix it. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up to the 8.25. I flipped it over again because I want these two sides to be about equal. There we go. Now I'm going to trim a sliver off of this side. And when I say a sliver, I mean it was a sliver. Then I want this top and bottom to be equal. And yep, that'll be about right. So I'll just cut this side off. And then make sure the other side is straight as well. It is, so we are done with squaring it up. And here is my pumpkin square. Now, through the magic of TV, we are already done with 3. Here's my 3. And I decided that it wasn't quite long enough for the spot on the door that we have, so I needed another one. So I'm taking this and I'm going to add it to my other one. I'm just going to lay this on top of this, right sides together, and I'm going to stitch down this side. Since I already had a border on the top and the bottom of each square, then it makes that little line thicker between the two pumpkins, which is what I wanted. If you don't want as thick of a white section between your pumpkins, make it smaller or just put one bigger piece on one side. There's a lot of ways you can change this up to suit you, but this is the way I wanted to do it. So then I'm going to take this and I'm going to iron that open. Iron it flat. And here is my pumpkin door hanger. But now I've decided it's too skinny. I knew it was going to be too skinny in the beginning, but now I'm going to put a border on it. I don't want to just do an orange border, I don't think. I think what I'm going to do is pull these browns out. I think I'm going to do a brown border. So let's take this brown. I've got the other brown too, but no, let's do this brown. Now I had a pretty big swatch of this left from another project. So one of the reasons why I'm using this. And I am just going to fold it and line it open. Line it straight. Grab a ruler. And I'm going to trim off this sliver right here to make sure that it's straight. And now I'm going to make some strips. I think I want to do a 2-inch. So I'm going to do a 2-inch border. Do I want to do 2.5? Oh, I wish I could ask y'all and y'all tell me. But by the time I do this, it'll already be done. So let's do 2. Don't you like how I talk to myself? There's a 2-inch. There's a 2-inch. I decided 2 instead of 2.5 because I don't really want this border to overpower the pumpkins. I just want it to be there. Okay. I'll take these and I'll stitch them together like we do binding. I'll take one and then the other one, and I'll put them right sides together like this and stitch across this section here. diagonally from one corner to the other. And so now I've got this line here, and I'll just trim off anything outside of about 1/4 inch. And then there's my piece. So this is how we make binding. That's what I'm doing here. But it's going to be a border. There's my diagonal line again. Cut off anything outside of 1/4 inch and open it up. Now what I'll do, I've got this long enough to do my border, is I will measure from here to here. Actually, I think I'll do the top and the bottom first. No, I'll do the side first. This is a do it as you go kind of project. So I'm going to measure from the top to the bottom. I'm going to cut this strip to that length, and then we'll put it on. My pumpkin door hanger is measuring 31.5 inches. So I've cut my strip to 31.5 inches, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to sew it to the side here. Grab my pins. I'm just going to pin it down the side first. You don't have to do this. You could just sew it on if you want to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Today, I don't. And I will pin it periodically down this strip. Till I get to the end and pin it again. And now I'll sew this strip down. Once I get that done, I will iron this open, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did here. I'm going to do it on the other side. Once I do it on the other side, I want both of one side's done. Doesn't matter if you do the top and bottom first or the sides first, but once I get the sides done, or whichever one you started with, then you'll go to the others. So once I do my two sides, I'll do my top and bottom, and then we're done. Then all we have to do is make the door hanger part. So here's this. I'm going to iron it open, sew the other sides on, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Well, we tried to beat the sun coming up, and I don't know that we really did that, but we did get it done, and it's before we go to work, so that's a good deal. Here's our pumpkins with our borders on. And it looks cute. So now I need to press it one more time. And then I will take it to the shop, I will quilt it, put a back on it, and then put a little sleeve along the top back that I can hang it from on the front door of the shop. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna take it to the shop, quilt it, do all that, and then we'll hang it on the door. I hope you enjoyed this pumpkin door hanger tutorial. Again, you can make this however you want. You can make it in colors other than orange. You can do your brown a different color. You can put your leaf on one side or the other. You could do a whole lot of things. You could make the stems skinnier. You can make them slanted. You can put two leaves. There's a lot you can do with this. You could do a whole square instead of strips and make each pumpkin different. You could make 2.5 inch squares and put them together, or not 2.5, 1.5 inch squares and put them together and make the pumpkin that way. So one of your pumpkins is strips, one of them is squares, one of them is solid. There is a host of ways you could put this together, but this is how I've chosen to do mine. I'm going to take it to the shop, quilt it, put a sleeve hanger on it so that I can hang it from the front door, and then we will have a pumpkin door hanger. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions or need anything from me. Until then, I'm going to head to the shop, get this project finished, and get on to other projects. You guys have a great afternoon doing whatever it is you enjoy doing. Try to get into that sewing room at least some point during the day. And, well, happy quilting!